If you've ever wondered what it truly means to be trapped between life and death, stuck in a place where your choices have condemned you to endless darkness, stay with me until the end of this tale, because what I'm about to tell you will blur the line between despair and hope, and maybe even make you question what freedom really is. Before we plunge into the depths of this story, let me ask you something important. If you enjoy worlds where tension and survival blend perfectly, I invite you to hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss a single moment of this harrowing journey. Your support fuels the channel and helps keep our stories alive. My life was never one painted in shades of gray. I was never drawn into the shadowy crowds or swayed by restless influences because I was the architect of my own downfall. Every decision carved into my fate with cold precision. The day the trial concluded, the judge's words echoed clear and unforgiving. He labeled me the most calculated man he'd ever sentenced and handed down a life without parole. A sentence that meant no visitors and no chance to step outside, alive or free. They buried me in that cold reality, and I resigned myself to death in slow decay until she showed up. Guards came for me one day, pulling me silently from my cell, 4 in total, flanking me in ruthless silence. We moved through corridors that dripped with sweat under harsh fluorescent lighting, passing doors that slid open only after distant, impersonal keycard scans. Eventually, we stopped in front of a heavily reinforced door, which one guard unlocked without a word, released a wave of cold air that swept into the hall. Behind the door was a sterile room, a table fixed firmly to the floor with 2 chairs, one occupied and one waiting. Her icy gaze met mine before I could even sit down, clad in a gray suit with ghostly pinstripes, hair drawn back so tight it seemed part of the cold steel around us, her skin pale but unimaginable clear. They shackled my wrists to the table's center ring, and she didn't even bother with introductions, cutting straight to the chase. Do you want to rot here until your skin falls off your bones? Or do you want a chance? Her voice sounded rehearsed, like every word had been honed in a studio for maximum impact. But I stayed silent. She slid a thick folder across the table, black clip snapping softly against the cold surface. My arms restricted, but her focus razor sharp. There's a site, she told me, tapping the folder. The deepest cave ever discovered, deeper than anything on record, but our first expedition didn't come back. They descended several kilometers before something, a biological, maybe even sentient threat, ended them. Her eyes never wavered. She showed me aerial shots of the rugged mountain range and blurry images of suited explorers trekking through jagged tunnels. I knew the risks were astronomical. We'd considered sending trained personnel, but the danger was too extreme. Lose a disposable ex-con like me instead. You're a murderer, a terrorist, already dead to us, she said. If this doesn't work, we'll find another like you. It's cheaper that way. She paused, then folded her hands. You won't be alone. After a quick debrief, you and 3 others will gear up with recording devices, weaponry, and all monitoring equipment. Survival is unlikely, but finish the mission and you walk free. No record, no past. You pick your path after. My first reflex was laughter. Fresh air had been a memory for over 10 years. I'd forgotten what the sky looked like without a net. I didn't ask about the contract's grim fine print or how many had died before me because it didn't matter anymore. I'd already been killed by life. Fine, I said, strap me in. She nodded, and I felt the sharp sting of a needle in my neck as cold surged through my spine. Then the ceiling peeled away, light vanished, and the world dissolved. I woke surrounded by white walls and sheets, a ceiling glowing with a soft panel that had no visible source. Before I could sit, a man in pristine, sterile clothing signaled me wordlessly. I followed him into a chamber lighting cold and brutal. 4 chairs facing a screen, 3 filled. The first was Hollis, smeared with tattoos, a perpetual smirk decorating his rough face. He shot me a snort, as if I was some joke. Beside him, Drew sat bullish, bald, muscular, silent, staring straight ahead. The last occupant was a twitchy girl, thin, shoulders hunched, rattled by invisible fears, her body writhing in spasms of nervous tics. She made strange involuntary noises, tension radiating in waves. No one spoke as I claimed the last seat. Lights dimmed, and the screen flickered on, showing useless footage of walls and sensor data. Nothing to explain, only to intimidate. Afterward, a stark room with a cold steel table awaited us. No chairs, a man in black uniform at the head holding a remote and tablet. His voice cold and practiced. "You're going underground, outfitted and monitored. Your vitals logged, every word recorded. You have one guide, Ren, the girl with tics, who was part of the original mission." Neither greeted the accusation that she abandoned the team she was supposed to lead. "She was found days later at base," he said. "She ran." Hollis grinned maliciously. "They're sending us with a coward." And Ren flinched visibly. The man ignored them, stating they were explorers, given a chance to uncover what happened and assess the biological threat. They must document without deviation. No improvising, no detours. Comply, and you might walk out alive. We were shoved into a windowless truck, its interior pitch black save for the road's rumble. Ren and I sat opposite, silence crushing between us as her leg bounced nervously. "Are you okay?" I asked. She blinked quickly. "It's hard sometimes," she admitted. "I left before anything happened. Claustrophobia, maybe. Or fear. I don't know why I ran." Her honesty peeled away some layers of mystery. "Are you scared to go back in?" "Of course. Something killed them," she whispered, hesitant. "They forced me into this." After a pause, she asked why I was there. "I lit some buildings on fire, nothing else," I offered, avoiding deeper confessions. Her gaze held mine steadily. "Regret?" she pressed. I searched my soul silently, finally nodding yes. Her eyes flickered in understanding before they shifted away. The truck stopped. Cold daylight hit me so hard, I shielded my eyes. At a gated rocky threshold, unarmored figures waited with weapons piled in a crate. Hollis grabbed an automatic rifle with a cocky grin. Drew took a pump action while smuggling a belt of shells around his broad shoulders. "You really giving convicts guns?" Hollis laughed darkly. They questioned if Ren was needed at all. Hostage strategies floated in dark humor. Equipment briefings came tight and harsh. Ammunition, nutrition packs, no communications underground, total lockdown until retrieval time. The cave mouth was a slit through rugged stone, rough walls allowing 2 to walk side by side with narrow space between. We moved through endless tunnels, led by Ren clutching a tablet and map, markers left like breadcrumbs guiding us deeper. At the first stop, orange tags poked from dust. Expecting to reach the next point only by morning, we dropped gear to rest. Drew fell asleep instantly while Ren appeared hesitant to stay near the others. We pledged to stick together through whatever lay ahead. We woke and marched onward in silence. Tension grew as the reality of the lurking threat settled over us like a thick fog. A few hours in, the cave opened wider, floors leveled, and the slope eased. Then came the first trail, glimmering lines of dull metal embedded in stone, spreading like spilled silver. tracing paths unnatural in their perfection. Ren knelt to explain the original crew and a satellite scan reporting an unusual rudium concentration, likely worth millions. Drew talked about grabbing samples for profit. We stayed quiet, moving past more metallic trails looping the walls and hanging overhead. The trail ended in a cavern vast enough to park aviation craft, minerals glittering on walls, veins of gold and dark metal winding like frozen roots. Suddenly, sharp, rapid clicks echoed from behind. A creature emerged, limbs twisted at unnatural angles, serrated claws glinting sickly. Its skin fused with metal and oily patches pulsed irregularly beneath the molten chrome surface. Its head, elongated and horrifying, tapered backwards, its jaw split down in 4 parts, leaking molten metal with a hiss that echoed against stone. Frozen by terror, we watched as Hollis lifted his rifle and opened fire. Bullets tore through air, but the creature barely flinched before moving towards us with swift, fluid motion. Hollis barely had a breath of laughter left before the monstrous strike took him down. Gunfire continued from Drew, but his weapon jammed just before he fell silent. In panic, I ran. Ren matched my pace, her body trembling from uncontrollable tics. Shots faded behind us, then nothing but eerie silence. We ducked behind rock walls where she insisted on complete quiet. The beast was blind but hunted by sound alone. Her whispers urged stillness. Sweat poured as every inch of her resisted movement. We slipped through narrowing tunnels, echoes of the creature's pursuit faint but chilling. Then I stumbled upon bodies, withered remains of explorers fused to suits, twisted and broken. Ren recognized one, but memories were luxuries we could not afford. The path descended sharply, forcing us to crawl through loose rock and shifting stone. Then, heat hit my face before I saw the source. A massive chasm filled with molten metal, swirling gold, silver, and blue in endless motion. A leg stretched into the glittering lake. The heat poured off the surface like a living fire, unbearable yet somehow not lethal. I barely registered the clicking behind us until the horror dawned. We'd reached a dead end. We took refuge behind sharp stone shielding, breath held tight. Ren convulsed, hands over her mouth, mouthing silent warnings. The creature entered, the air thick with tension and impending doom. I felt her claws grip my arm as she urged calm. Her eyes betrayed desperation. I raised my shotgun. She shook her head sharply, her lips trembling silently. Her grip tightened, fingernails digging into fabric. Then, bullets tore through the cavern air again. I fired. Her head snapped away, blood splattering cold rock. Her body collapsed at my feet. The creature stood atop the rock, tail brushing my arm as it inspected Ren's fallen form. It carried her slowly toward the metal lake. The molten surface folded over her, swallowing her whole. Then stillness resumed. I ran with every ounce left in my battered legs, guided by touch and memory. I passed the chamber where Drew and Hollis's broken bodies lay. Their silence was a scream in the darkness. Near the entrance, 2 guards waited. Their helmets reflected my broken face as I staggered forward and collapsed on my knees. They removed my weapons and body cams, helped me stand, and led me away. Soon, I found myself seated before her again, the pale woman in the gray suit. She flipped through my footage. Your documentation exceeded expectations. She lamented Ren's fate coldly before dismissing me. I was handed new credentials, travel documents, freedom wrapped in a thin envelope. I walked away alone. the facility shrinking behind me into nothing more than a shadow etched against bare stone. I was free, though the scars of the cave will stay with me forever.